Have you ever felt that the grass is always greener on the other side? That little voice in your head telling you, hey, what you have is okay, but imagine what you could have over there. It's a classic human feeling, and it's been around for ages. So long, in fact, that there's a timeless fable that perfectly captures this very idea. It's the story of the fox and the crab, and today we're going to dive deep into its simple but powerful message. It's a story about ambition, risk, and the sometimes harsh reality of stepping out of your comfort zone. So get comfortable and let's explore why sometimes the safest place to be is exactly where you are. Imagine a little crab living his life on a sandy shore. His world was a symphony of crashing waves, the salty tang of the air, and the endless expanse of the ocean. Day in and day out, it was the same routine. He'd scuttle sideways across the wet sand, burrowing himself in to hide from seagulls, and nibbling on whatever the tide brought in. For many, this life would be a peaceful paradise. But our crab? He was starting to feel, well, a little bored. He was tired of the gritty sand getting into his shell, tired of the taste of briny water, and frankly he was sick of sand mites. They were not exactly a gourmet meal. Every day he would look just beyond the dunes, past the edge of the beach. There he could see a splash of vibrant green meadow. It looked so lush, so inviting. He imagined it was filled with delicious things to eat, things far more exciting than his usual bland diet. He pictured juicy clovers, sweet dewdrops on blades of grass, and perhaps some tasty insects he'd never even heard of before. The meadow became an obsession, a symbol of a better life. The sand, his home, started to feel like a prison. He thought to himself, why should I be stuck here, scraping by when a feast is waiting for me just a short walk away? The more he thought about it, the more he became convinced that he was missing out. This feeling is something we can all relate to, right? Maybe you're at a job that's stable and pays the bills, but you see friends on social media with what looks like more exciting careers. Or perhaps you're in a comfortable routine, but you wonder if there is a more thrilling life waiting for you in a different city or country. This longing for something different, something better, is a powerful motivator. For our little crab, it became an overwhelming urge he could no longer ignore. He was disgusted with his sandy lot. He had to see what the meadow held. He had to get a taste of that greener grass. So one sunny morning, the crab made a bold decision. Today was the day. He wouldn't just dream about the meadow. He would go there. With a sense of determined purpose, he turned his back on the familiar sounds and smells of the sea. He began his journey, a slow, awkward crawl away from the water's edge and up towards the dunes. It wasn't an easy trip for a creature built for the shore. The dry sand was harder to move through, and the sun felt hotter without the cool ocean spray. But the vision of the lush, green meadow kept him going. Each clumsy step was a step towards what he believed was his destiny, a better life filled with finer food and new experiences. As he finally crested the last sand dune and saw the meadows spread out before him, his heart, if a crab has one, must have swelled with triumph. It was even more beautiful than he had imagined. The grass was a deep, rich green, dotted with colorful wildflowers. The air was filled with the sweet scent of clover and the buzzing of bees. He had made it. He had left his boring old life behind and arrived in paradise. He eagerly scuttled into the tall grass, ready to begin his feast. He was so focused on the ground, looking for the promised delicacies, that he failed to notice he was no longer in his own element. Here, he was the outsider. He was slow, and his hard shell, which offered such good protection on the beach, now made him stand out against the soft green. And it was this that a hungry fox who was taking his own morning stroll noticed immediately. From the edge of the woods, the fox's sharp eyes caught a strange, reddish-brown thing moving clumsily through the grass. What was this? It wasn't a rabbit. It wasn't a mouse. The fox, ever the opportunist, crept closer, his movements silent and graceful. The poor crab, completely absorbed in his new surroundings and the fantasy of his grand feast, was oblivious. He was so caught up in the dream of what he was about to get that he paid no attention to the new dangers that came with his new environment. The fox saw his chance. In a flash of reddish-brown fur, he pounced. The crab had no time to react. He couldn't scuttle back to the sea. He couldn't burrow into the soft earth like he could in the sand. In the meadow, he was exposed and vulnerable. In a single, swift moment, it was all over. The fox, without a second thought, ate him up both shell and claw. The crab's grand adventure, his quest for a better life, ended just as it began. His dream of a feast in the meadow turned into him becoming a feast for a fox. The very place he thought would bring him fulfillment led directly to his demise. The moral of this story is simple and stark. Be content with your lot. Now, this can sound a bit harsh, can it? It sounds like we should never strive for more, never take risks, and just accept whatever life gives us. But that's a very surface-level reading. The deeper lesson isn't about crushing ambition. It's about understanding the nature of risk and appreciating what you have. The crab's mistake wasn't just wanting something different. His mistake was failing to understand his own strengths and weaknesses. On the sand and near the water, he was a master of his environment. He knew how to hide, how to find food, and how to survive. He was perfectly adapted. When he moved to the meadow, he entered a world where his skills were useless. His sideways scuttle was slow and awkward on land. His hard shell made him conspicuous. He was quite literally a crab out of water. He was so blinded by the idea of the meadow that he didn't stop to consider the reality of it. He didn't think about the new predators, the new challenges, or the fact that he was completely unprepared for this new world. He gambled everything on a fantasy, without any preparation or foresight. This is where the story becomes so relevant to our own lives. It is a cautionary tale about the dangers of grass is greener syndrome when it's not backed by strategy and self-awareness. It's wonderful to have dreams and ambitions. It's healthy to want to improve your situation. But we must do so with our eyes wide open. Before we leap into a new career, a new city, or a new venture, we need to do our homework. What are the real risks involved? What new challenges will we face? Are our current skills transferable to this new environment, or do we need to learn new ones? The crab didn't ask any of these questions. He just saw something that looked better and made a reckless dash for it. He traded a predictable, safe reality for a dangerous, unknown fantasy. The story encourages us to practice gratitude for what we have. It's not about settling for mediocrity. It's about building from a stable foundation. Appreciate the job you have while you train for the one you want. Value the home you're in while you save for a new one. Understand your strengths and build upon them, rather than abandoning them to chase a dream you're not equipped for. So the next time you find yourself staring at a distant, green meadow, thinking of how much better it must be than your own sandy shore, take a moment to think of our little crab. Let his story be a reminder to not just dream, but to plan. To not just desire, but to prepare. True progress comes from smart, calculated steps, not from blind, desperate leaps. It's about finding the balance between ambition and wisdom, between wanting more and appreciating the good you already possess. Because sometimes the greatest treasure is realizing the value of the place where you already belong. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of Aesop's classic fables. If this story resonated with you, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories that make us think. See you next time.